The pandemic has made life tough for all of us, but not everyone has fared the same. Juggling childcare with paid work, unemployment, poverty, social isolation, increased violence, worsening mental health, and homelessness. Who's bearing the brunt of these problems? Women and girls. WRC surveyed 71 women's organisations across the UK about the impacts of the Covid-19 crisis. Increased demand was the most pressing challenge for women's organisations across the UK. 76% of women's organisations reported a marked or substantial increase in demand for their services during the pandemic.
Our helpline, on average, have received 58% more calls during the pandemic year compared to the previous year.
No recourse to public fund. Safe accommodation was quite high in demand as well, increasing quite a lot. And people with mental health who needs lots of support of the counselling in different languages.
51% of organisations reported a rise in women with complex needs, making it the second most pressing challenge for women's organisations. 59% of women's organisations said they were only partly able to meet this increased demand, mainly because of limited capacity and funding.
So the effect of not having enough funding is that most of these families have really suffered. And obviously because of the pandemic, most of them have lost their jobs. And therefore, without that support that we normally give them, they've struggled quite a lot. They've not had food to feed their families. They've had to live in houses that are quite cold because they can't afford gas and electricity, which has had an impact on the well-being of the whole family, the women and the children as well.
The biggest impact of the lack of funding could be the matter of life and death for women.
But the sector is resilient.
That is really good because we can see that the people we help in the community are coming back to help each other within the community.
We were able to support double women and girls that has been referred to ICRO, or
we have managed to keep all of our services open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year throughout the whole of COVID.
This film is dedicated to the tireless efforts of women's organisations up and down the country who, despite lack of funding, continue to provide counselling, advice, advocacy, a refuge bed to women and girls with nowhere else to turn.
The sector needs long-term support and funding.
Check out the full survey results on the WRC website.